Two balls and a strike to count on Taylor. Reyes fires, swing and a drive, deep left field. It's his way back. Walk him off. Chris Taylor.
What's up, everybody? Welcome into DodgerHeads Live, presented by DodgerBlue.com, part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. My name is Jeff Spiegel, joined tonight by Greg Bergman of ESPN LA, a.k.a. Corporate Greg. And let's start with the positives, Greg. The Dodgers are 2 wins away from winning the World Series. They are up 2-0. You joked that this might be the saddest anybody has ever felt coming on to a post-game show with a 2-0 lead in the World Series.
I just don't know how to feel right now. I'm ecstatic that the Dodgers are up 2-0. That was amazing. I was there last night. That was incredible. They won. Yoshinobu Yamamoto was fantastic. And all I think to myself is, oh, my God, I don't know what's going on with Shohei. Oh, my God, is Blake trying to be able to pitch again in an effective way? Oh, my God, that almost got away. So I feel really good being up 2-0, but now we go to New York, and like there's questions.
Yeah. There's lots to get to tonight. You mentioned Ohtani leaves. Well, I guess he didn't leave the game because his spot never came back up in the order.
Right.
But day off tomorrow. Not sure what we'll get as far as information tonight. Obviously, Yamamoto is going to be a huge talking point. The way that he pitched tonight was absolutely incredible. The Dodgers, for most of this game, Greg, I was ready to come on and say, pretty stress-free. Like, they got up 4-1. And then kind of just were coasting, never had the tying run. They didn't have anybody on base. And then the 9th inning happened when not only did they give up a run, but they loaded the bases with 1 out, only to escape. So for all the trying and stuff, he does get 1 out. And then Alex Vesia comes in. I look at my wife. I say, you're going to know within 1 or 2 pitches whether or not this guy has it or doesn't have it. It was the right move. Whether it was at the right time or not, to be determined. But let's just stay positive real quick, Greg. The Dodgers came into this series pretty much dead even with the Yankees, and they took care of business in games 1 and 2. Tonight, not super pretty. Last night, come from behind. But in order for the Dodgers not to win the World Series, they have to lose 4 of the next 5 games, Greg.
Right, which makes me feel really, really good, especially because you know that if it gets down to it, you're going to have Flaherty, who actually did pitch well yesterday, and you're going to have Yamamoto, who was fantastic. I also, in these situations, I trust Buehler in big spots, which is crazy for me to say, but I absolutely trust him in this big spot in New York in the cold. He likes to pitch in the cold. Look, I don't think this is going to be any kind of sweep. We've always thought it's going to be 6 games, but the fact of the matter is they took care of business in these 2 games like you talked about. And you're right. I mean, when you're going into the top of the ninth, I don't know how you felt, but I saw, okay, we're going to the top of the ninth. They've only had 1 hit, but you're getting 2, 3, and 4 in Soto, Judge, and Stanton. Something's gonna happen, because those are the 3 guys you got to get to. I wish it didn't get all the way down to that 8th spot. I wish it would have just gotten past it, ended it with Volpe. But at some point they got to get. You're gonna have to get through a little bit of tough spots sometimes, and they got through it. No matter what, he manned up and he got through it.
Yeah, I think you make a great point. Like, in the course of a World Series, we've seen this before, right? The Dodgers have been in the World Series 3 times in the last 7 or 8 years. Good Lord, I hope my voice comes back. Too much screaming at the end of these games. I need to control myself, But, like, there are moments when you need – it's not luck, but you need to make plays in the right moments. Last night, the Dodgers come from behind. It feels like to win a World Series, you need moments where you're trailing at the end of games and you make a comeback. But to win a World Series, you also need games like this where you're hanging on for dear life. But the key word there is hang on. And the Dodgers did that.
Right. They did what they needed to do. Now, they could have gone I don't know how you feel about going from game to game, just like the energy from game to game. The fact of the matter is the Yankees got a run. They loaded the bases, but they only got 1 run out of that. They didn't get hit after hit after hit. It was mostly walks. I mean, you had Anthony Rizzo completely throw his shoulder into a ball that at that point, they were talking about on the broadcast, he likes to try and get hit in these situations, and then he throws his shoulder and gets hit with the ball. They didn't actually do anything to fully get those hits. I mean, Stanton had that ball that hit the bag, but that would have been double no matter what. Either way, it wasn't like they were just finally got a hold of him and just hit after hit after hit. It wasn't home run after home run after home run. It was they kind of just worked counts and got on base like the Yankees are ones to do. So the Dodgers came back and like yesterday, had that walk-off grand slam, showed it that they can get those hits. The Yankees didn't actually do that here. So do they feel good going from game 2 loss to a game 3 in New York? Do they still feel good?
Yeah, it's an interesting question because to your point, this could be the Yankees saying, hey, we feel good. We rallied. We almost beat them. Or is this just yet another kick to the groin that's like, damn, we loaded the bases against these guys in the 9th. They had to take out their closer, and we still didn't get to him. And Judge is a mess. Like, there is just as many reasons, if not more, for them to go back even more depressed rather than more encouraged in this game because of all the things you just said. So it's a great point by you. And again, this is where if you're the Dodgers, and we'll get to updates on Ohtani as they come in, we haven't heard anything yet. But this is where if you're the Dodgers, you say, all that is nice, but again, we're already up 2-0. Like, the number of things that need to go right moving forward is less than it has to be for the Yankees. The Yankees are going to need to be perfect in order to beat the Dodgers in this series, and it's possible. This series is far from over. The Dodgers were down 3-1 in the NLCS in 2020 and came from behind to win. So this series is far from over. We haven't even gone to New York yet. But when it comes to the Ohtani news, when it comes to Treinen and his status right now, the good news is you only need 2 more wins. You don't need those 2 guys to help you go pull off a miraculous comeback, which I think is what is good news for the Dodgers.
All right, so just real fast, I see somebody in the chat said that your boy Blake Williams is saying that Shohei Ohtani is walking around, smiles on his face, and he does not have any like bandages on his shoulder. So what I'm hoping, look, obviously we're not doctors, we're not pretending to be doctors, we don't know absolutely anything and didn't actually see anything. What I'm hoping is that it's what they were saying on that from the Japanese broadcast was that he popped his shoulder. Hopefully there's no tears, and all that was just a subluxation, and it popped out, and it's painful, and they need to pop it back in, and he's going to be okay. That's the hope. Whether that's what it is, I have no idea.
Yeah, you're right. Blake Williams on Twitter. If it means anything, Shohei just walked by with a smile and nothing that I saw on his left arm, shoulder, wrist, hand areas. Again, if you missed it, at the end 7th inning, Ohtani is caught stealing. He plants his left arm. Super weird. It looked like it was either wrist or shoulder. Japanese media that picked up the hot mics said he turns to the trainer and says, I popped my shoulder. It popped out, some version of that. So to your point, I mean, this is the one injury, Greg, that I can actually speak to. The one major injury I've ever had in my life is dislocating my shoulder. So a subluxation is it pops out and pops right back in which case he's probably going to be sore tonight, tomorrow, but he might be fine. If it fully dislocates and needs to be popped back in, then you risk, did you tear anything, that kind of thing. So that'll be key to watch. Who knows? I mean, I'm not expecting like to get any real significant update tonight because they're probably going to be, he's going to go for scans. We're going to see off day tomorrow. We'll probably find out right before game 3 is my guess. Like if I had to guess, the Dodgers aren't going to give us an update until the lineups come out in game 3.
Yeah, why would you give updates? Why would you give anything to? I mean, it's just for us fans for the most part. We want to know that he's okay.
Right.
But if you're actually playing the game that Dave Roberts likes to play, is he will not say anything until to let the Yankees know anything of any substance whatsoever. But also, they're going to be going out there like Shohei's going to be there no matter what. And Shohei, at some point, he's going to go off. Like, I know he's not hitting very well right now. He did have that double that was almost a triple, almost a home run last night. But besides that, he hasn't looked that great at the plate. He looks like he's really pressing and swinging at pitches that he normally doesn't. I really like that he walked in that last at bat because he was patient and just letting Clay Holmes kind of just hoping that, okay, if you want to get me out, put something over the plate. So that I like that attitude better, but we'll see how he goes when he comes to game 3.
All right, let's get to some of these super chats. 300 says, good win to hold on to, given we've probably lost Ohtani for the series. Big overuse of Treinen so far. I tweeted last night, Greg, that of all the guys in the bullpen, Treinen's the guy I want to live and die with. I'll take my chances with. He gets a huge out last night, comes back, gives up a run in the 10th inning. They said it's his second straight outing. He gave up a run. He gives up another run tonight. He's this weird mix of, at times he still looks untouchable, and yet it didn't feel like he had total command and control tonight. He ends up being a mess. This is just where bullpens get to at this point in the season. You're not going to have guys that are perfect because they've been pitching high leverage a lot. But this, to your point earlier, this is a big storyline because with no Evan Phillips, if Blake Treinen is not in the circle of trust, it's Kopech, who looked good tonight, Alex Vesia, who got him out of a jam. Maybe Bonda, like he's looked pretty good. Maybe Daniel Hudson, but that's kind of it.
Yeah, that's
Gratterall, maybe like one appearance.
Gratterall last night looked fantastic.
Yeah.
But either way, yeah, there's not a lot of guys. So they are going to have to go. So that means when you have that bullpen game in game 4, that, that is going to be something of a little bit of a trouble. That bullpen game is no longer like, okay, I feel good about it. It's kind of like, okay, we're going to have to try and mix and match in here. And that means you're going to see a lot of Ben Kasparius. You'll probably see a lot of Landon Knack, and you'll probably see a lot of Brent Honeywell. That's just the way that it's going to have to be, because that you are going to need length, especially with the way how much Blake Treinen is now pitching. Now, it's good that he has that day off coming up on tomorrow, and then it can come back Monday. I don't even know if you see him Monday. If I would guess, I bet you would give that closing situation to either Kopech or Vesia.
Yeah, and to your point, like I was talking to somebody asking about the bullpen game situation. Game 3 is going to be interesting because depending on how game 3 goes, assuming Walker Buehler starts game 3, if the Dodgers somehow are up 3-0, it might not be a bullpen game in game 4. It might be Landon Knack, Kasparius, somebody who's just a bulk guy and not waving the white flag, but just saying, hey, up 3-0, we can't blow out our bullpen and potentially lose this game. So let's throw a bulk guy, try and get 6 innings out of the 3 guys you just mentioned and see what happens. But if they lose game 3 and then have to come back to a bullpen game, that's where I think it could get interesting. So Jonathan with another super chat here. I never thought I'd feel so worried after 2-0.
I'm saying, Jonathan.
I mean, from the moment Ohtani's shoulder pops out, things kind of went sideways for the Dodgers. So we'll see. Carolina asking a question I know you were asking. Why Treinen and not Vesia to begin with? Go Yosh. I didn't have any issue with Treinen coming in to start this inning for 2, 3, and 4. This is how the ninth played out. Soto single off the wall. Judge strikeout. Stanton grounds a ball that bounces off the bag. 50-50. It looked like Muncy might have gotten there. I don't know if he's going to make that backhanded play and throw all the way across the diamond, but probably a hit either way. And then Jazz singles after fouling off a bunch of pitches. Rizzo hit by pitch. Volpe strikeout. And then Treinen comes out. From your end, Greg, Soto single, Judge strikeout, Stanton single, Jazz single, Rizzo hit, Volpe strikeout. When should he have come out of that game?
So, I mean, I was trying to kind of when what was his name? When Rizzo came up, I thought, thinking, okay, you know what? Jazz just got a single. This is probably the time to take him out. He just threw 22 pitches yesterday. He's right around 30 pitches right now. It felt like he was kind of done, and you really saw when he was throwing to Stanton. He was throwing, or Jazz. He was throwing the same pitch over. It was that sweeper inside, really trying to get him over and over and over again. And it just that was the only, he was relying on that one pitch. So I thought after Jazz, I probably would have taken him out, but it wouldn't have mattered. Vesia probably would have hit Rizzo too, because Rizzo was going to find a time to get his elbow in at that point. There was no chance he was not going to be hit right there. He was looking for it. Anything inside, he was getting hit.
Rizzo dramatically worse against lefties. Volpe pretty much even splits. 660 OPS against lefties, 656 OPS against righties. Rizzo was the one that surprised me. They didn't go to Vesia there, to your point, because I'm just watching the play-by-play, and it was clear. First of all, Rizzo's a vet, so he's one of those guys, no matter how good he's looked lately, he just worries me because he's been there. He's had big hits before. But that's the spot. Rizzo was the spot I would have gone to Vesia. They said he was up. Maybe they wanted Treinen against Volpe. That ends up working, even though they have to give up Rizzo there. And then they get the catcher, who both of them are a mess against lefties. So it ends up working out, but walking a tightrope. Other than this, real quick, Dave Roberts, his performance tonight, when he went and got Yoshi, the way he deployed things, any issues other than and even this, it's like at some point, Treinen's the guy you go with. Most people don't hate that decision to start. So at some point, this is more on Treinen than it is Dave. But overall, Dave Roberts, what would you say about his performance tonight?
I can't fault anything. I even understood when they took Yoshi out after 6 1/3 because you had a run of lefties. So what do you do with a run of lefties? You go to a lefty. I like that he went to Bonda there and not to Vesia because you needed to hold on to Vesia because if something goes wrong with Trinan, as it did, you're going to want him to come up after that. So I had zero problem with any of those moves that they made. You can try and find little things. The only thing was just that I would have liked to see him come out after Jazz, but it worked out the way that it was supposed to work out, especially with the Volpe piece of it. With the way that Volpe was just swinging and missing at that sweeper, he looked terrible against that sweeper. That also is a whole nother thing for me. Did you see anything wrong with anything that Dave did, by the way, before I go further?
No, because even Volpe, the way he looks against the slider and you're needing to get a strikeout there more than a ball in play, I can understand why you stick with Trinan. Keep in mind, Vesia not even on the roster for the NLCS, so you're bringing him back to pitch back-to-back days after he hasn't pitched in a major league game in 10 days. Not to mention Vesia, Red Bull pumping through his veins. You're going to put him into a bases loaded in the 9th inning. Who knows what's going to happen there? It ends up working out, so no issues with Dave. And real quick, we have a super chat. We need to stop hating on Dave Roberts and appreciate his work. He will go down with a better resume than Bobby Cox. Let's go. 2 more. So, again, I completely agree. We'll talk Yamamoto in a little bit. I was completely on board with when he decided to take Yamamoto out of this game.
Yeah, fully on board with it. I thought, and you're right. There is nothing more to say about Dave Roberts. Dave Roberts would have only been fully hated on if he lost to San Diego in the first round. And I still maintain that if they did lose to San Diego in the first round, obviously they didn't, he should have been let go because you can't lose to a division opponent 3 years in a row in the NLDS. It's just not acceptable as a Dodger manager or any manager or head coach in Los Angeles, period. It doesn't matter. He got through it. He's in the World Series. He's now been in the World Series 4 times in the last 8 years, and he's been fantastic. There's not one bad thing to say about Dave Roberts, and every single decision I fully trust at this point too.
Yeah. First time, by the way, Chad Moriyama tweeted this. First time since 2020's NLDS that the Dodgers have a 2-0 lead in a postseason series. So they won game 1 of every series so far. It's the first time they also won game 2.
Sure
so
is.
good news there. Shelly,
if you want some parallels to 1988, they won the first 2 games and 1 in 5. And we just had the whole parallel with yesterday, which was the Joe Davis call. I didn't get to talk to you yesterday. The Joe Davis call was amazing. Amazing how it synced up perfectly with Vin Scully. I know that's not what we're talking about right now, but the parallels to those things are pretty similar there.
Yeah. And hey, game 2 of that series was a shutout, dominant pitching performance. What we saw from Yoshinobu Yamamoto.
It's pretty close.
I think a fair comparison, not a shutout, but 1 hit. Going into the 9th inning for the Yankees as a whole. Shelly says, almost got away, but it didn't. That says a lot. We can never expect this to be easy. Again, every Dodger fan has been hurt and wounded that we lose those games. We lose the game 1 types where we come just short of the comeback, and we also lose the game 2 types where it feels like as soon as you start to believe and have hope, then the Yankees snatch victory out of the jaws of defeat. The Dodgers are 2-0 in these 2 games. Like, I cannot stress enough psychologically how much that must help. Because, Greg, you can imagine the vibes in that clubhouse. They're going to wake up tomorrow, and they're going to think of all that has gone wrong. And we're up 2-0.
Yeah.
Like, we were trailing all of game 1. We almost blew it in game 2, but we didn't. We did come back. We didn't blow it. We're up 2-0. I have to imagine the vibes are going to be good.
Yeah, they're going to be fantastic because you have to think about it. And now you don't have Garrett Cole again until probably game 4. And he absolutely shoved, and he was amazing. They took him out pretty early, but that's a whole nother conversation. And now they go to this other guy. What's his name? Like Schmaltz or
Clark Schmidt.
Clark Schmidt. Yeah, that's what it is. Schmidt. I don't know anything about him, but I can't imagine he's better than Rodon. And we fully got to Rodon. So that's who had been a very, very good pitcher. So I think they'll feel really good about who they're going up against. I think they feel good about being in Yankee Stadium. Because especially with that short porch, I think there's a lot of stuff that's going to go pretty well for the Dodgers here. And also, I don't know how you feel, but once you get to the 7, 8, 9 of the Yankees, it's garbage down there. There just is nothing down there.
I'd start at 6. I'd start at 5. I mean, like other than other than Judge, Soto, and Stanton, who scares you?
Well, Rizzo doesn't scare me. I think that
Jazz doesn't scare me.
He doesn't scare me, but if he gets on base, he can cause damage. He could, and he did in game 1. He did cause damage.
Yeah.
So no, he does not scare me in that sense. But the fact is that he can. So, but really, yeah, it's besides those 3.
Even number 1, Torres doesn't scare me.
Nope, he didn't do anything tonight, did he? I don't think he got a hit. Well, he couldn't have because there was only no hits.
He walked in the first inning. He walked first batter of the game. He walked. He goes 0 for 3. Judge 0 for 4. Rizzo 0 for 1 with a walk and 2 hit. I'm like 1 at bat. Right. 1 walk, 2 hit by pitch for him. Volpe 0 for 4. Wells 0 for 3. Trevino 0 for 1. Verdugo 0 for 3. So, basically from Rizzo, Volpe, Wells, and Verdugo, those 4 no hits in 9 at bats, I believe, between the team. 12 at bats. 0 for 12 at the bottom of the order.
Yeah, I mean, it
0 for 15 if you wrap it around to number 1.
Yeah, no, exactly. Which is what you want. And I don't think that Walker Buehler is going to do that same thing that Yoshinobu Yamamoto did. But again, he in this postseason, I know he gave up those 6 runs. I don't really blame him for those 6 runs. But either way, he has been really, really good in this postseason. So if you can get another starter to get into the 6th inning, that is just, it puts you at such a huge advantage over this team because they're like the Dodgers. They parallel the Dodgers very well, like you said earlier. They want to get to your bullpen. Now, the problem is our bullpen is very, very good. So it makes it a little bit different there.
So reports that Ohtani left the clubhouse wearing no ice or support on his injured left shoulder, simply said to the press, "Thank you for your hard work," and then returning home. Exact condition of his shoulder unknown. So I see again, Chad Moriyama on Twitter says that seems most positive and very dumb that there's not precautions being taken. But I suppose let's be optimistic tonight. Can we agree to be optimistic tonight, Greg?
I'm optimistic Greg around here. That's what since the beginning of September, it's been optimistic Greg the whole time. So I know you hate it the other way around. Drink more water, Jeff. You should have
We're working on it. Water. We're working on it. Somebody said, honey, we're going to get there. I'm not a lose my voice guy. So
hey, how do you not have a voice? I was at the game yesterday screaming like a maniac.
I don't know. I'm just screaming in my house. That pop fly. I joked with you before coming on. Last night, I almost put my head through the roof, jumping off of my couch. Tonight, I almost put my head through a wall, just trying to survive that 9th inning. So it's just screaming, but it's like, I got to do better. This is on me tonight, guys. This is on me.
It is.
Hawaiian Kira asking, with Yankees seeing Trinan twice, do you think that he'll pitch in games 3 or 4? At least 3 to 4 pitchers have not made an appearance yet. You hinted, and I totally agree. I would be very surprised if he pitches in game 3. I mean, unless Buehler gets shelled and is out of the game in like the 3rd inning, and then, they get to the 9th and it's still close, but they've already used 6 or 7 other guys. Like short of, I think he will be available. I would be surprised if he gets used.
Yeah, I would be surprised too. And being available is absolutely different too. I mean, it has to be a situation you're like, we need Blake Trinan right here. But they have so many other arms too. And by the way, if Walker Buehler gets shelled, they're going to basically give the game away like they did game 2 and game 5 against the Mets. They're just going to say, okay, we're going to throw.
Well, then they score 8 runs also. So it's just 8-7 in the 2nd inning. That's the scenario.
Yeah. Well, okay. Yeah, no, I get it. Like if it has to go that way, it has to go that, and he will pitch. Like if he needs to, he will. But they've seen him twice. We talk about this a bunch. How I saw you on Twitter today saying that it was a weird move by Aaron Boone to throw Tim Hill out there against Freddie Freeman. I thought it was extremely weird too. And especially not to throw him yesterday. I thought that was extraordinarily weird not to throw that guy against.
Brilliant. If you ask me, Greg, I think it was brilliant. I think it was Hall of Fame level decision-making from Aaron Boone. Should do it again.
Yeah. If he wants to do that any other time, go right ahead, because that was a dumb move. But like you said, though, throwing Tim Hill when you're down 3 against a guy that you want him to be able to see later on, that's what was so good about Dave Roberts in the NLCS, saying, like, we're not going to let you see our guys when we're down.
If Soto, Judge, and Stanton come up in game 3, 2-run game in the 9th inning, who's your first 2 choices that you would like to be in that game? Kopech, number 1?
when you say 2-run game, are you
Dodgers
saying
are winning. Dodgers need
winning,
somebody
right?
to close it out. 2, 3, 4 is due up. Is Kopech your first choice?
I would like to say Kopech. I think, and this is a crazy thing for me
I
to
can't
say
wait for
too.
this.
I think it's Alex Vesia.
Okay.
And
Because it is lefty, so you're
right.
missing you're going lefty right versus righties in Judge and Stanton, but you get lefty on Soto. Not that any of this really matters against those guys. Stanton is actually less power against lefties, so there's something there.
I just think that the power that Michael Kopech throws with kind of plays into those guys. Those guys want to see the power. They want to see those 100-mile-per-hour fastballs because they want to use your power against you. So I would go with the guy that can kind of keep them off balance, throw different types of pitches, and fool them a little bit. Because if you're just throwing 100 miles an hour at their face every single time, they're going to eventually square one up. And when they do, with the pound of power they have, it's going out of the park. So that's me. Where would you go with? Would you go Vesey? Where would you go?
I think it'd be Kopech, and I'd just take my chances. I mean, this is where Evan Phillips is the perfect pitcher.
Would have been great.
Because him and Trinan, that sweeper that they throw is exactly what you want against Stanton and against Judge. They can't help themselves against it. But when you look up and down the roster, Gratterall would make me nervous. I mean, I guess the 2-seamer, keep him off the barrel of the bat. Maybe you don't hate that. He has a little bit of a breaking ball, but they just don't have a guy who can just go up there and throw breaking balls out of the bullpen, which is the weird part.
The Gratterall is actually kind of interesting because he does throw 100 miles an hour, but he induces soft contact always. Yeah. That's every single time. So that's actually not a bad call. He does rarely. He does every once in a while give up the long ball, but for the most part, every ball is on the ground, popped up. Even he doesn't strike out a lot of guys, even though he struck somebody out yesterday, but he still gets that soft contact. It's a good call there.
Big Bob sharing the update we're getting from Dave Roberts. Left shoulder subluxation, dislocated shoulder, said range of motion strength tests were good. Tests tomorrow. Let's go Dodgers.
Subluxation is probably the best thing that could have happened.
Yes. And again, a subluxation, I'm not a medical person. I've had a dislocated shoulder, so somebody might be able to tell me I'm not totally accurate, but that's where it pops out and pops right back in versus popping out and then needing somebody else to pop it back in.
Right, and that means in tears, and there's things that are in there that can cause problems. Like Cody Bellinger, what was it, in 2018? He did not. 2020, you're right.
Yeah.
2020, he had tears. He did not have a subluxation. He had a dislocated shoulder.
And Cody Bellinger came back 2 days later and hit a home run and came one of the World Series after dislocating his shoulder in Game 7. Now he's been a disaster since. Not since.
Right.
For a while he wasn't great the rest of the World Series. That might have some Cody Bellinger things going on, but I'm just saying he did not miss a game. Did not miss a game after dislocating his shoulder.
Yeah. No. So again, well, I'm hoping and praying that he will be in there in Game 3. And if I think Ohtani has anything to say with it, he will be in Game 3.
Yeah. And again, he's not playing the field, so there's a little bit less risk. So Stockton says, any word on Ohtani? What a ride so far, boys. There you go. Yes. We got the update. Seems positive. Let's hope shoulder dialection will be okay. Not sure.
Jiu-jitsu.
Maybe. Not sure. Yeah, hopefully okay.
Let's move past the jiu-jitsu.
Javi says pre-2024 Dave Roberts would have kept Blake in, to be honest. We've seen him die on the hill with some of these guys. So I don't think this is a crazy take.
No, I don't think it's a crazy take at all. And also, but I think in this postseason in general, he has not been doing that. He has had someone ready to go whenever he needed to. He has an idea of, I'm going to let him go through this guy. I'm going to let him get through this guy. But if we get to this lefty, we're going to make a change here. If we get to this righty, we're going to make a change here. He has not left guys in too long. People are going to argue with me and say that they left Jack Flaherty in too long last night. I don't agree. It was a 3-2 pitch. He just missed his spot because you don't give him anything to hit there. If you walk him, you're fine. And then you go to the bullpen. Just make him try and fool him, but you can't leave something over the plate like he did last night.
Yeah, and look,
I've
said it. It wasn't even a terrible pitch. It might not have been a good pitch, but that pitch was, depending on what strike zone you're looking at, it may not have even been a strike. Obviously, it backed up on him. It wasn't a well-executed breaking ball, but location wasn't the worst thing in the world. It just Stanton put a good swing on it.
Yep.
John says 2 down, 2 to go. Hopefully with Ohtani. Yamamoto was outstanding. Let's talk Yamamoto, Greg. 6 1/3, 1 hit, 1 run, 2 walks, 4 strikeouts. The Dodgers come out and score 3 runs in the third to go up 4-1. You and I both were on social media saying shutdown inning, please, for the love. And he goes 1, 2, 3 innings on that. He comes back out in the 6th to face the top of the order. And that was another big spot for Dave Roberts, where it's like, what's the move going to be? Is he going to let him face the big bats again? First pitch ground out for Gleyber Torres, 2-pitch ground out for Juan Soto, and an Aaron Judge strikeout on 5 pitches. He went through 1, 2, and 3 on 8 pitches, 1, 2, and 3. He retired the last 11 batters he faced, Greg, before leaving this one. We can talk about the decision to take him out here in just a second, but let's just start with what he did. Unbelievable performance from Yoshinobu Yamamoto, who now has in his back pocket Game 5 of the NLDS, winner take all, and Game 2 of the World Series. And he's building himself quite the reputation.
Are you still upset about? Is anybody still upset about that 12 years on $325 million? Is anybody still freaking out about that? Especially when the Yankees wanted to give him only $300 million and didn't get him, and then he gets a win in the World Series and that type of performance the day after Garrett Cole loses a game the day before. I mean, Those are all things that come into play in all of this. But I thought Yoshinobu Yamamoto was absolutely beyond fantastic. He was doing things that you don't. So I want to go back to the first game against the Padres. He showed that splitter over and over and over again, and they just laid off of it. He changed the way that he used that splitter from there on out. He wasn't using it as his main out pitch or his main pitch. He was using it as an out pitch, or in certain situations, he was using his fastball more than anything else. And he was making it seem like that splitter was the fastball. So when you're doing things like that, then teams like the Yankees, who are teams that pretty much are very, very patient in their at bats, cannot lay off that pitch because it looks like a fastball coming at you, and then all of a sudden it just dips. So the way that he used his splitter in tonight's game, I thought was just beautifully done. And to go out there the way that he did and hold this entire team off balance. Yes, he gave up the home run to Soto, but that was on a pretty decent pitch as well. He just missed the location. I saw Rob Friedman, pitching ninja. He showed where the ball was supposed to be and where the pitch actually landed. It was supposed to be down and away. It was inside and right in the middle. He turned on it. So I thought he was amazing.
Yeah, and I was posting on social media. The issue early was that he couldn't locate his fastball. And, I posted of his first 19 fastballs, only 7 of them found the strike zone. And the 12 that missed, he only got 1 swing. So when your fastball, which is the one pitch that every pitcher relies on to get strikes, isn't in the zone, to what you're saying, they don't have to respect the splitter because it's almost never in the strike zone. And they don't have to respect the breaking ball because, again, for most pitchers, that's not in the zone. Now, Yamamoto got bailed out because he could throw his curveball for strikes early in the game. And as John Smoltz pointed out, they weren't even swinging at it. So that bailed him out. Now, I said 7 of his first 19 went for strikes. 14 of his next 23 found the zone. So he goes from like a sub 50% zone rate where he actually finishes the game with 52% of his pitches, his fastballs in the zone. That was the key. And to the point in Soto, even some of those were in the zone, but he was missing with them, but at least they were strikes. That was the key that I think changed sometime around that 3rd or 4th inning. It felt like he was able to command that pitch, and that was the difference.
And he just calmed down. I do like what John Smoltz was saying. Because he pointed out, he's like, Yankees are in trouble right here. He's spotting his fastball. He's getting his fastball over the plate for strikes. And when he's doing that, people aren't going to get to it, and not the Yankees are not going to get to it. It felt really nice to see this guy go out there and have another fantastic game after that Game 5 in the NLDS that you were talking about, and he pitched well against the Mets too. He's just is everything that you paid for, and you're just in a really good spot right now, Jeff. I feel. More we talk about it, and less I'm starting to hear more about Ohtani being okay, and we're getting through it, and we're out of that 9th inning and talking through it. I feel much better.
I like that. I like to hear that, Greg. We like optimism on this show. Give me your thoughts. So then he comes back out in the 7th. He gets Stanton out and then gets pulled. Did you have there's going to be controversy in the moment? Did you have any issue with the decision that Dave Roberts made there?
He pitched. He did what he went out there to do. He pitched into the 7th inning, 6 1/3. I know his pitch count was getting up. He probably could have gotten through it. Like if he probably would have gotten through it, but with lefties up there, why not just go to Bonda there? Just let Bonda go out and get those guys out, because that's what he's actually there for. And he did his job. So no matter what, you got out of the inning with no hits, no runs. I think he did walk probably Rizzo, but nothing happened in the inning. Again, you did the right thing. I when it happened, I was just sitting there saying, lefties, I get it.
Yeah.
Great job, Yamamoto. Great job.
I want to put up the pitch chart for the last batter he had, because against Stanton, he got Stanton out, but I want you to look at where these pitches were in this inning.
Jeez.
Like, look at pitches 3, 4, 5, and 6 in this at bat. And he got out of this at bat with an out.
Where's
pitch
3?
3 is hiding behind 6.
Oh, pitch 3 is hiding behind 6.
Pitch 3 was a slider. Pitch 3 was a slider. 4 and 5 were fastballs. And 6, I believe, was a splitter. So just to give you context, I'm watching that at bat thinking, not only am I okay with him being out, holy smokes, did we just get lucky that one of those 4 pitches didn't get planted right by the plaque that he's got, because that is the nitro zone to Stanton. Now, I see somebody saying, why are they throwing inside to Stanton? They weren't trying to. He came back out for the 7th. I believe like the first time all season, it's not the first. One of the only times he's come out for the 7th all season. Clearly the command was headed out. So good decision by Dave, in my opinion. Lucky to get out of the Stanton at bat with the ground ball. But again, this is not to throw shade at Yoshinobu Yamamoto. It's simply to say, hey, you did your job. 6 1/3, 1 hit, 1 run, the home run to Stanton, the only hit that he's allows, and masterful A+ performance from Yoshinobu Yamamoto. So good stuff there. Marco, we appreciate the super chat. Mark, if you meant to leave a question, do your best to leave it in the comments, and I'll try and throw it up here. So I know sometimes people do the super chat and forget or miss the opportunity to do the question. So there we go. This is an interesting one. Well, let's do this. G says, what's worse, losing yesterday or losing today? Horrible psychologically for the Yankees. It has to be yesterday, but I think today is sneaky close, because you get your hopes up and you start to believe, and then you lose. Right.
So I think there's 2 schools of thought to it. So yes, the way that you're saying it as a Dodger fan, or as the way that they're probably talking about, look, we were getting killed all game. We only had 1 hit going into the 9th inning, and we started to put guys on base. We got bases loaded. Now we just have to execute, and they can talk through it that way, and they could see like it's something that it can be left as a positive for them. I'm more in agreement with you that you did all of this and only got 1 run across. That to me is a kind of a shot that kind of hurts a little bit. But for the most part, I think it has to be game 1. Losing on a grand slam in the bottom of the 10th inning with 2 outs is the worst possible way you can lose a World Series game. I don't think there's a worse kind. Unless you can think of one, that's pretty bad.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. Game 1 is a heartbreaker because you're winning. You're 1 out away from winning, and pretty much almost twice. I mean, I think it was the 8th when the Dodgers tied it. So you felt like you were going to win this game twice. Tonight, I do think is sneaky painful, though, is my point. Because, and the point that you're making as well, because if they had lost 4-1, like, it's worse for them to have lost how they lost than if they would have gone down 1-2-3 in the 9th, right? Like, it's worse for us, but for a Yankees fan, I imagine you sort of feel worse about rallying and coming up short than if you had just died in the 9th, right? Like, am I crazy for saying that?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. It is very much the first game, and how they lost in the 9th. It does feel a little bit bad. It feels bad too, no matter what.
Yeah. Apes against the Machine. Interesting question here. Now with the 2-0 lead, hear me out. Do you go with a game 3 bullpen game, 4 Buehler, game 5 bullpen game, 6 Flaherty, then game 7 Yamamoto? So the key here is, if you're asking, should you go bullpen game in game 3, The ramification is if it gets to game 7 and Buehler doesn't pitch in game 3, he would not be available for game 7, at least not on his normal rest. If that were not the case, I think going to a bullpen game in game 3 makes a ton of sense because the bullpen will have a full day off. You can throw the bullpen out there in game 3, and then you've got your starters set up. If things go sideways, you've got your starters set up for the rest. Because of the Buehler piece, I would pitch Walker Buehler in game 3, my view. But what do you say, Greg?
No, I'm very happy with Buehler going in game 3, especially since they had to use a lot of the guys 2 games in a row, especially Trinan. Because if you go with a bullpen game in game 3, you're basically saying we are going to use Blake Trinan in game 3. I think he needs multiple days off and could get himself right because he has given up 3 runs in his last 3 games. So I think in that sense, and they saw Kopech twice. They saw Vezina. I mean, they kind of saw Vezina twice because he only threw 1 pitch, but they did see him twice. They saw kind of our relievers a few times.
Bonda's been seen twice.
Bonda's seen twice. We didn't go to Grattel. Obviously, they have guys that you didn't go to, but the fact is we saw them. So I feel like going in a bullpen game in game 3, I want to see Buehler and also put your foot on their throats.
Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, if you can get Buehler to go out there and shove like he has been, go 6 innings, go 7 innings, whatever he gives you in that.
I'm good with 4 or 5. You're saying 6 or 7. Give me 4 innings, 1 earned, and Walker Buehler gets an A from me.
Absolutely. If he can, whatever he does, if he gives up 0 or 1 runs, I'm happy if it's 4 innings, 5 innings, whatever it happens to be. But the fact of the matter is go out there and just keep their bats down. And if you can keep their bats down and not have to get too far into your bullpen, I like that better. Give yourself a much better chance at 3-0 opposed to going to bullpen games because bullpen games don't typically work. They just have been working because everyone's healthy. Phillips not healthy. Trinan not pitching 2 games in a row and a lot of pitches. I think it's Kopech pitching 2 games in a row. Bonda, like you said, I just would like them to have a little bit of rest. Yeah,
as good as you might have felt about a bullpen game a week or even 2 weeks ago, with Trinan looking the way he's looking and no Evan Phillips, I would say those are your 2 best pitchers. So a bullpen game without your 2 best relief pitchers available or at their best makes that option far, far, far. I mean, people are complaining that Nat came in. Like, think about how you're going to string together 27 outs with no Evan Phillips. Yes, you get Vesia and Gratterall back, but with no Evan Phillips and a not 100% Blake Trinan, that's a tall task. And again, in this scenario, it would be 2 bullpen games, game 3 and game 5. Which just wouldn't be, I would say this, logistically, it wouldn't work because of you can't go 2 bullpen games in 3 days with no off days in between. It just wouldn't work.
No, absolutely not. And also it works out so perfectly. You go Flaherty 1, Yamamoto 2, Buehler 3, bullpen, Flaherty 4, 5, 6. Like it all just kind of works itself out. Just go
Flaherty 5, Yamamoto 6, Buehler 7.
Yeah, no, that's perfect. That to me is perfect. Like, let's just stick to the plan. And I think Dave said before the game, which he lies, but he said before the game that it's going to be.
I know he lies, but let me tell you what he said. Anyways,
he did say Walker Buehler game 3 is the starter for game 3, and they're going to go with your Schmidt guy, and then
your Schmidt guy.
I don't know. He is Clark Schmidt. I've never even heard of him until I looked up their starting
2.85 ERA on the season, Greg.
No. Well, how's he pitched in the postseason?
4 2/3, 2 earned, both times out.
Okay.
So 9 1/3, 9 hits, 4 earned, 3 walks, and 6 strikeouts. His 2 appearances. So I wasn't scared of Rodon. If you looked at his hard hit numbers, he's like one of the worst in baseball. Exit velocity, hard hit rate, barrel rate, all that. I haven't done a deep dive on Clark Schmidt, but like he's fine. Like I think him and Luis Heel too. Like these guys could come out and be awesome, or they could be gone in 3 1/3 like Rodon was today. Like either one of those scenarios, neither would surprise me.
No, neither would. And to your point, they were saying that Rodon had given up the second most home runs in baseball this year. He was basically Lance Lynn.
He's better. Let's not compare him to Lance Lynn. All right. There's a lot of comparisons I think I would have just accepted and moved on. I think Lance Lynn, I don't need to defend Carlos Rodon. That's slightly disrespectful.
It is slightly disrespectful, but now he's going to shove the next time he goes out there because I said that. But either way, I think we'll be okay.
Smallville says, I like Buehler in game 3. Said he likes to pitch in the cold. Yep. The ball moves better for him. They got to punch the Yankees early. Totally agree. And what you said at the end, step on the throats. Yep. I know Dave's win 4 out of 7. Totally bought it in the NLCS, and the situation called for it. He was describing a scenario where his team was down 5-1, and he had to make some decisions. But starting a game from scratch at 0-0, Dave would not have approached that game the same way if it was 1-1 or even 2-1 Dodgers or 2, so you absolutely try and win every single baseball game. You punt none of them. Punting a game down 5-1 is different than punting a game 0-0. So go for it. Throw your best arm, set yourself up as best as possible for a game 7. If God forbid we get there, but has to be Buehler in game 3 for me.
Yeah, 100% game 3. And like the old adage says, right, the series doesn't start until someone wins on the road. And the Yankees did not win on the road. The Dodgers have not won on the road yet either. I mean, they have in the playoffs, but they haven't won at Yankee Stadium yet. So until they win a game on the road, that's when you can start like kind of messing around with stuff. No matter what, try and get as many. The series is not over until you see 4 wins. They have 2 right now, need 2 more. Get them as best you possibly can. Go with Buehler.
Neil says, if Ohtani can't play, Tommy or Mookie to lead off, 2 wins to go. Schmidt is a righty, so that does give you more options as far as who you want to put up near the top of the order. I think a guy like Max Muncy, just with the way he's gotten on base, I could see him moving up in the order. Obviously, Tom, what's that?
To lead off?
No. I'm saying Mookie. If Mookie leads off, but I'm saying like who hits second then in that scenario is the question I'm asking.
Oh, okay. So I think you just move everything up, no? So you go Mookie, Freddie, Teoscar, especially with the righty there. So you go, well, I guess it's a righty. You want to have somebody that's, I see what you're saying, but I think you need Mookie, Freddie, Teoscar at the top there. Okay. So you probably have Muncy in the 4 spot. So it's just Mookie, Freddie, Teoscar, Muncy. And also you like having that right, left, because then it doesn't give you the option to bring in a guy like Tim Hill, who's going to be throwing strictly to multi-lefties. This is also very weird of Aaron Boone to have something happen in the middle of his lineup where it goes lefty, so that the Dodgers can plan, okay, this is where we put Bonda. Yeah. This is where we put Vesia. It just seems like a weird idea from Boone to not kind of play around with that.
He just doesn't have options. Like when I did the World Series preview, like Rizzo's the guy Rizzo quote unquote platoons with, who I didn't even think Birdie, he's not even on the roster. Like he was terrible against lefties. Like they just have a bunch of dudes who just can't hit lefties, period. It's easy for us. We're spoiled as Dodger fans because we set up platoons at every position. So it's like, we could just put Pages in here and you could put Kike in here. Most teams just have their first baseman who happens to suck against lefties, and you just wear it on days when lefties are on the mound, So here they could try and mix and match order, but at the end of the day, in that 5 through 9 spot, they kind of have who they have.
So can I talk to you about Tommy Edman for a minute, who by the way has just been.
He's pretty good.
He's been amazing this postseason. Even right now, he's been amazing too. But he's a guy that he was in the 9th spot in the first game. He was in the 5 spot today. He's somebody that you just bounce around, and everywhere he goes, he just comes through within the clutch. He's a guy when he's up, I feel good and I trust him. Don't you?
Yeah. 2 for 4 tonight. Hits the leadoff home run in the 2nd inning to get things going. You just can't say enough. Played center field tonight, played shortstop last night, made the biggest defensive play of the game on the Dodgers side of things by stopping that ball from leaving the infield to keep from scoring a run against Anthony Bonda. If not for Freddie Freeman, Tommy Edman would be, starting to write in pencil World Series MVP somewhere on his resume. Freddie Freeman happens to have one of the biggest hits ever last night. It's another tank tonight.
Maybe the biggest ever, and has 2 home runs in 2 games. Yeah, I think it's going to be Freddie at this point.
So, but
let's get to the end first. Before we start
exactly. But my point is just Edman is the only other guy in that conversation for the Dodgers right now. There's nobody else that you can even talk about in that grouping as far as I'm concerned.
Mookie got 2 hits today. Teo with the big 2-run home run, but no, it's just those 2. As of right now, let's see.
Yeah, and Teo is 2 for 4 with the 2-run home run, so he's in the mix. But,
we saw what happened with Teo in New York during the season. He hits bombs in New York.
Yeah. Yeah. Totally. We'll see. Jonathan, Dodgers barely holding it together. Ankles, shoulders, toes, elbows, all crumbling. Need to close this out before the wheels fall off. Finish it in New York. Let's go. I said Dodgers in 6. God, I hope I'm wrong. I hope it's not 6.
Yeah.
I hope we got to win 2 out of the next 3. And not need as in they're screwed if it comes back to LA, but like I wasn't expecting them to be up 2-0 heading into New York. So given all of the things happening around, man, would it be huge if they could get game 3 and somehow close this out in either game 4 or game 5.
Yeah, I said Dodgers in 6 also. I was right there with you. And yeah, it would absolutely suck if they come back to LA, because then it starts getting a little bit. But I mean, I expect it to. I expect the Yankees to win 2 out of 3 there. I really, really do, because they are a good baseball team. But the way that this is all working out, I got your boy Matt Moreno sent me text today saying Dodgers in 4. Which
I like that you said that on here. It's great. It's great. He's confident. There's lots of people. He's not alone. I see lots of Dodgers sweep talk happening. And after the first 2 games, it's almost like I don't know how. There's not a whole lot to argue with it, other than saying it's really hard to sweep a team. They're up 2-0. Like, would any of us be shocked if the Dodgers won the next 2? No one would be surprised.
Yeah. No. If they win the next 2, no, they would not be, because
from where we are now, it's not like they have to go win 4 in a row starting now. They only got to win 2 more.
I mean, I hate to say it this way, but before the series started, I was looking at the Yankees, I was looking at everything, and the more I started to think about every single portion of it, I was like, I just feel good about all of this. And now they're up 2-0, and you still are like, yeah. And now you got Walker Buehler, who has been shoving. I just feel really good about the way he's been pitching. So, yeah, I mean, look, I'm not going to say it's going to sweep. I'm holding on to that Dodgers in 6, but I would not be shocked. I wouldn't.
Yeah. Big Bob says 2 out of 5. Let's go. We've got this. I mean, again, if I phrase it to you this way, tell me it doesn't make you feel better. The Yankees have to win 4 of the next 5 games against the Dodgers, and 2 of them are in LA.
Yeah, I don't see that happening.
Can we talk about this real quick? Ice Cube made the Yankees bow down. Fire performance. Where were you at on Ice Cube? I was all in. I thought it's unbelievable. 12 out of 10. Fantastic.
It was fantastic.
I have people in my life that hated it. I just want to say that out loud.
What are they from our generation? Like, get out of here. Absolutely. Yes. Me and my girlfriend were sitting here like, this is awesome. This is he sounded just like he did 20 years ago. It felt like the best version of a Super Bowl halftime show. Yeah. That's what I want to have, a hype video. If you want a hype video, that's the one I want. Yeah. That's the guy I want every time.
Let's get him back. If we do have to come back for game 6 and 7, can we just have Ice Cube do every game?
Every time. Cube is the man. Absolutely.
Yeah. Stockton says, who is the DH if Show is out? Has to be Freddie Freeman, right?
Yeah, you'd have to think it'd be Freddie.
I suppose Teoscar would be the other option, because they think he's a defensive liability. But Freddie we haven't seen the ankle even flare up at all. But Teoscar or Freddie, I would bet large amounts of money it's one of those 2 guys.
I'm going to tell you this, though. Like, if Freddie Freeman is going to be playing hobbled on one foot over and over again and is having, and is doing everything he possibly can, Shohei Ohtani, with his subluxation, which is the best case scenario, is going to be there in that game. Yeah. I can almost put money on it.
Yeah. We're getting asked what would happen if Ohtani is out. Neither of us think Ohtani is going to be out of the lineup in game 4.
I don't think so in the slightest.
For the record. Matty Man says, it's hard for even the most rabid Dave critics to argue with his performance this postseason. I know I've sometimes been one, no longer. He is on the heater of all heaters. I've said this before. Like, in the postseason, we often critique 3 or 4 decisions that are made at night, when we have to remember that there were like 17 that happened behind the scenes that we don't even necessarily know about, or they just are assumed beforehand. Like, Dave has not been perfect. But when you watch what Aaron Boone has done, when you watch what Carlos Mendoza did, when you watch what the Padres, Mike Schilt did, like, they have all given you a reference point for quote unquote good managers. I don't think many people think Boone is. I think all the Yankee fans hate him, but put him aside. Everyone loves Schilt. Mendoza, he has run circles around those dudes. And I would argue, Greg, that his job has been harder than just about everybody else's because of what he's had to deal with on the injury, on the vibes, on the history side of things.
He's throwing bullpen games with regularity, and he's doing it by putting the right guys in the right situations every single time. Now, of course, has he been perfect? No. But the fact is he's been way better than everybody else, like you're saying. And Aaron Boone, just think about the bottom of the 10th inning from last night's game. And
again, Hall of Fame decisions, Greg. We're not going to, there's no slander of Aaron Boone and decisions. Nestor Cortez, as far as I'm concerned, he's a hero, Greg.
He is a hero, because if they went with Tim Hill, like they probably should have, that would have been could have been very, very different.
He hits a home run to left field, you think, off of Hill
instead
of right field?
It would have been.
He just would have messed up the Kirk Gibson parallels. It would have been the opposites field. The vibes, the videos wouldn't have looked as nice. That's what you're saying, right?
I love having that history just there in general, just being able to put those videos together.
Stockton, chance we sign Soto next year, 75%. I would say it's less than 75%. Higher than 0, lower than 75 would be my guess. We'll see. I mean, look, if the Dodgers win the World Series, the decision with Teoscar, I think, gets made a little bit differently. They've got some moving pieces. They'll be in on Soto. I'm sure they will. The Yankees are going to be desperate. They're going to be desperate.
They're going to do everything they can. They might give him the $600 million he's asking for. It's possible.
Yeah. Good thing we got 50-50. Now fine with no more stolen bases for Shohei. Buehler, 11 days of rest for game 3. He probably gets a long leash. Expect 6 innings. To the first part, Shohei Ohtani, never steal a base ever again in your life. Thank you. And
we can move on from that.
Yeah. I know he's had 11 days of rest. I think that's a good thing for a veteran guy like Buehler. Flaherty, same thing. Those type of guys getting extra days does not worry me as much as it would for if this was like a Gavin Stone type who had 11 days off and then had to figure something out. I really don't think it changes the length of his leash, though. I think the Dodgers are going to manage this one aggressively. They're going to try and win. And so unless the offense explodes and gets you 6 to 8 runs in the first 4 or 5 innings, I don't think the leash on Buehler is going to be long. If he's working through traffic in the first 4, I would, if you gave me the over under at him getting 15 outs, Greg, and I believe in Buehler, I think he's going to be good. It'd be hard for me to take the over on Walker Buehler in the next game.
Maybe I'm being more optimistic than you are.
I like that.
This is a rare thing, but yeah, I think I actually have him going over those 5 innings. I just the way that he's been throwing, and maybe I'm just being too Pollyanna about the whole thing, but the fact is he has looked really, really good. I don't expect 6 innings. I expect 5. And if he's still in a good pitch count, he does usually get a high pitch count. If it stays a little bit lower, maybe he can go into the 6, but I'm assuming 5 out of him.
Yeah. Dodgers fan down under, 20 Aussie dollars. Thank you for that. We appreciate you. Kudos to the Dodgers starting pitching. Every series this postseason, they were weaknesses compared to the Padres, Mets, and Yankees. They have not been outclassed, totally underestimated, and the bullpen offense have outclassed everyone. It's a great point. I said last night, the goal for Flaherty, just hang tight. Like keep the team within striking distance by the time Cole gets out. Mission accomplished and then some. Yamamoto, this was the one game they had a huge pitching advantage. I shouldn't say huge. They had a pitching advantage in Yamamoto. It turned out to be huge. And I think I still would say they're at a quote unquote disadvantage in games 3 and then the bullpen game in game 4. But to the point here, we keep saying it. And we've also said, I'm not sure it matters, and it hasn't. That's kudos to the Dodgers bullpen and the offense, because the pitching has come up when it needed to, and the offense has bailed them out when they've needed to.
Yeah. So the pitching, when you came into this series, every single pundit has always said, for every single San Diego, New York, is all that the pitching, that's where the Yankees have the advantage, is in the starting pitching. Well, look what you do when you went through their first 2. The Dodgers are leading 2-0 because it was never about the starting pitching, and it wasn't even what you got out of Flaherty was amazing. What you got out of Yamamoto was amazing. It's what you get in this bullpen because this bullpen is so good and how deep the lineup is going 1 through 9. If you're better 1 through 9 and you're better in the bullpen, you can overcome the starting pitching of it, and they did just that because they just are relentless too. Like you just can never count them out, no matter how much they're down in these games. I never feel like they're out right now, and that's such a good place to be as a Dodger fan.
Yeah. Mookie, by the way, on the Fox post-game show, said hi to the guys, and on his way out to Derek Jeter, he said, "I know you don't like us right now, but I love you too," to Derek Jeter. So shout out to Mookie. I think David Ortiz said something. I don't have the quote in front of me, but some good stuff there.
Is it in the Fox pregame show and postgame show?
I try and avoid it. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah, I do too. A-Rod and Jeter are so mad right now. You can see it in Jeter's face, but Jeter looks mad all the time. That's why I don't know. Like this.
Yeah.
People are saying like, "Oh, this is like the NBA on TNT for baseball." Like, no, this is absolutely not that. They're not good at this.
Ortiz. Today was a good day because the Yankees lose. Was his entrance to the postgame show. So shout out to David Ortiz. Yeah, I can't stand A-Rod. Cannot stand Alex Rodriguez. Just Jeter, whatever. Again, I literally don't turn my TV on until 5:06 because I have literally no desire to watch those guys talk about anything related to baseball. So
I absolutely watched
fine. The rest of them.
Yeah, I watched something else until 5 o'clock. It's like, it's 5 o'clock. All right, now we can go on.
300 says, Bill Buckner and the Red Sox say, "Hold my beers" on bad ways to lose a World Series game. LOL. There are worse. There are worse ways for sure, but I've got to imagine that game 1 loss. I mean, I'll be honest, confession. I indulged in going and finding the John Boy live stream from last night because I wanted to see the end of it. And that's gotta, I mean, look, as Dodgers fans, we had the Brett Phillips game. I mean, you want to talk about bad ways to lose World Series games, that Brett Phillips catastrophe. There's some bad ones. A walk-off grand slam when you're 1 out away. It's tough. It's up there. I'll say it's up there.
Look, yeah, I understand the Buckner. I understand a lot of these other ways that you've seen losing the Aaron effing Boone, those types of things. Walk-off grand slam in the bottom of the 10th inning and extra innings in the Dodgers-Yankees series. I don't know if there's something worse.
Well, and they blew it. They had a 2-1 lead in the 8th as well. Yeah. So they blew a lead in the 8th inning and the 10th inning to lose in the World Series, game 1.
Yeah, that's hard.
Laura says, surprised at how quiet the Yankee bats have been. I hope it continues. I mean, they had 1 hit going into the 9th inning tonight. 1 hit. And then they got 3 more.
What do you think's going on with Judge? Because he is a mess.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing we're seeing with Ohtani on our end. You just see these guys that you imagine as being invincible. And Smoltz, there have been times when I've liked him. I thought he was really bad in game 1. You didn't have to watch, so I thought he was terrible in game 1. But the thing he does talk about is, basically his shoulder flying open because he's trying to do all this work. And that if you throw breaking balls to a guy that's doing that, Volpe did the same thing. They have no chance. And so when your timing gets messed up and you're all out of whack, look, we saw it with Mookie Betts. Teoscar Hernandez was 0 for 18 in the NLCS at one point. Guys just go through this. Ohtani hasn't been himself over the last week or so. So, I mean, aside from him, Soto and Stanton still terrify me. But again, I go down the list. Chisholm doesn't scare me. He's hitting 186 in the postseason. Rizzo has a 368 batting average in the postseason, but he had no hits tonight. Volpe, 240, 0 for tonight. Wells is hitting under 100. Verdugo's hitting 184. Gleyber Torres, 290. Sure. None of these guys. So I'm not surprised that some of these guys are quiet. Judge, of course, shocked at how bad he has looked and how uncompetitive those at-bats have been. Hope that it continues. We only need it to happen for 3 or 4 more games, hopefully, and then he can figure everything out and go back to being a 220 weighted runs created plus guy. But he's the one guy that surprised me, I guess, is a long way of saying that. Yeah, no, I agree with you. And Judge, by the way, all it takes is 1. Yeah. All it takes is him to get a hold of 1, and then he figures it all out, and he's terrifying again, too. Well, that freaked me out because yesterday at the end, he got a fastball that he roped into left center field, and I was like, crap, that might have been the one. But then he comes back tonight, it's another offer. So, and with a bunch of strikeouts, too. It's thankfully. But hopefully that sticks. I mean, at least Shohei, he had in game 1, he did have that double that looked like it was going to be a home run, but just hit off the top of the wall. He was bad in this game. But I did think that at bat where he walked at the end of the game was it against Clay Holmes. Yeah, that one. I thought that then one was. Then he stole the base.
Yeah, that's where that was the whole another thing. But I
But
thought
I agree with you. I felt like that was a victory.
that it was absolutely a victory because he wasn't what he was doing. He was swinging. That's why Holmes was throwing it out there because he was swinging at those pitches. He was swinging at that outside pitches. What he doesn't do that every once in a while. He gets in those modes. But I'm hoping that that's what that seems like. Now he's like, okay, just figure yourself out just inside the zone. Anything inside the zone, I'll swing out. Everything out. And maybe he walks 7 times in the next 2 games. Fine. Yeah. I don't care. The fact that as long as you're just being patient and force them to throw you pitches over in the zone.
Yeah. Miel says, Teoscar loves playing the Yankees. I swear he'll rake. Nice to see him get going tonight. Obviously, the home run, his 3rd of the postseason. It's a guy that, much like Will Smith, who, by the way, had a ball off the wall in center field tonight, 2 guys that were really, really bad for most of the NLCS, had huge game 6s. And then Smith obviously was a mess last night. But Teoscar continues 2 hits tonight for him, including the home run that kind of busted this game open, gave the Dodgers some breathing room. But he does seem to like this matchup. He hit the ball to right field tonight, which is there's a short porch out there in New York. So if he doesn't mind going that direction, he might find some success in Yankee Stadium. Obviously, a team he's familiar with.
Yeah. So, I mean, you saw what he did. I think he has 4 home runs in 5 games against the Yankees this year.
Crazy.
So
that's right. Yeah. That's right.
Yeah, so he's going to do well, and he hit in that 3-game series. It was a 2-game series. It was 2-game series, right?
I think it was 3.
It was a 3-game series. He was on fire in that series. So I kind of expect the same thing from him, and really just hope that it happens because this whole thing, like we have all this Freddie stuff. Teoscar can take back the MVP race if he goes nuts like he did the last time they were at Yankee Stadium.
Yeah, he was 6 for 12 with 3 home runs against the Yankees in 3 games.
Get out of here.
Yeah, with 3 doubles, I believe.
Yeah, no, he was amazing.
2 doubles, 3 home runs, 2 doubles, 9 RBIs, 6 hits, and 12 at bats. So, not bad.
There you go.
Did he? Yeah, throw in a walk there just for fun. Apes against the machine. I'll let you answer this one first. What would be better, sweeping in New York, winning a championship at Dodger Stadium, Game 6? Or a Game 7 1-run nerve-wracking, anxiety-filled close game that you win? Which of those 3 do you want, Greg?
I want to sweep and in Yankee Stadium. I love the whole idea of winning at Dodger Stadium. Give me the sweep every single day.
I want no stress in my life.
No stress in my life. There was enough stress in the Padres
tonight. The 9th inning tonight was enough for the rest of my life.
I've been lucky in my emotions that since Game 1 of the Padres series, I kind of like went like when they won that game, the first game of the Padres series, I felt much better. But it definitely started to shoot back up for Game 5, and ever since then it's been kind of calm. And now we're up this 2-0. I feel like it'll be okay. I don't want to get to that stressful point again. No. I don't want that feeling. So yes, sweep.
Yeah, please. To get to Game 6, they have to lose twice. My body can't handle that. I want the sweep. I know how sweet it would be to win in Los Angeles, all that. Guess what? There'd be a parade. If they sweep in New York, there'll be a parade in LA. You'll have plenty of time to party. And good Lord, I would not survive a 1-run Game 7. I wouldn't survive. It would just be over for me. So
Game 7, 1-run nerve-wracking, anxiety-filled close game. That sounds awful.
Sounds awful. Stockton says, thought for sure you would have said Barnes for DH. LOL. Not. He wasn't high on my list. I mean, look, Will Smith, by the way, ropes a double tonight. Yeah. Dead center, same guy. I keep telling people, he hit either the biggest or the second biggest hit in Game 6 of the clinching game in the NLCS. He had either the biggest or the second biggest hit with the 2-run home run. Like, can we put a tiny bit of respect on his name? I know yesterday he came up in the big spot after the bunt and looked awful. He had a sac fly last night. He was the only guy who had cashed in a runner at any point in Game 1 of the World Series. Prior to that, I mean, he has been bad. I'm not full defense mode of Will Smith. I just laugh at he does something great and everyone's like, okay, cool, Will's back. And then the next at bat, it's like, this guy sucks.
Yeah, no, that's just how it works. I'm still high on Will Smith, especially with the way that he's calling these games. We talked about it. He's been calling doing an amazing job behind the plate. So everything he does on offense has been gravy. But yeah, he's still hitting the ball hard. Look, I'm not sure if it's the stats right, but I think he was somewhere near the top when it comes to sack flies in majors.
Yeah, he's like, we were joking on last night's show. Joe Davis said he has the most sack flies, and I joked with Anthony. I said, "Is that a good thing or a bad thing or a neutral thing?" I don't know. Like, is that like, hey, why don't you have more hits, buddy? We landed on good thing though.
Yeah, it's a good thing. You're driving in a run. Like that's what you need to do. If you can't get it. You're not hitting into a double play. You're not hitting the ball on the ground. You're getting the ball into the outfield. In game 1, you had 3 innings in a row where you had a guy on third base and 1 out, and it only got 1 run in because you couldn't get the ball to the freaking outfield. That's where you need Will Smith.
There you go. He's 1 for 2 with sack flies in that position. A few more super chats, and then we'll go. We appreciate everybody. Almost 3,400 people in here. Thank you for joining us. Stockton says a great week for Dodgers and Rams fans. Not a great week for Raiders fans. It's never a great week for Raiders fans.
There's no such thing, Jeff. We don't have good things.
It's true. I will say my college football team, Greg, I don't know if you knew this, number 1 in the country right now.
They are
smacked the number 20 team in the country today. So things are going well in the sports world over here. The Raiders don't count. The Raiders humble me, bring me back down to earth, but Ducks and Dodgers, baby.
I mean, Illinois, are you really going to get excited about
Illinois? 20th in the nation,
that they were never doing anything.
They smoked them, and it was comfortable. If they stink, they handled them like they stink. So good for them.
Okay.
Carolina, this is a good question. Rojas, how do you feel about him staying in the lineup? Righty on the mound, so I think he's gonna be out against all righties. Yeah. But did you see anything from him tonight, Greg, that leads you to believe you want to see him at any point the rest of this series?
So there was nothing really that went his way. Like Tommy Edman was crazy busy at shortstop last night.
Yeah,
tonight
it is a good point.
Nothing went his way, so he
made one play. I'm trying to think. There was the one play that was a grounder that it looked like was maybe going to be a double play. He makes the throw to first. I think it was the first inning.
Oh yeah, that's right. He didn't go to. I was like, why didn't you go to second there? But yeah, he went to first. He just didn't. Whatever. He just wanted to go to first, maybe to make up.
Yeah, the ball never got hit to him.
Yeah. So besides that, he didn't look competitive at the plate really at all. Bad. So. Yeah, as long as you see righties, I think that's fine. But no matter what, if you see a lefty, it's probably going to go. He's probably going to be back in there, especially if you win. If you win on Monday, like if he wants to, if he goes into a game against a lefty, okay.
The next 3 are all righties, so hopefully we never see Miguel Rojas again in this series because the series is over by the time Game 5 ends.
Well, I will say that's the way it's going to go, though. If they win game either way, you don't think that Garrett Cole comes back for Game 4 and they go to Rodon for 5?
Oh, I don't think so.
You don't think they go to Garrett Cole for Game 4 no matter what?
Well, Cole's a righty.
Yeah, no, I'm not.
But I think they would go heel for Game 5.
Not Rodon.
I don't think so. After what they saw from him tonight, okay, I wouldn't. I don't think he's that much better than Luis Gil to where you'd say, oh, we're going to bring this guy back on short rest after just watching this team smoke him versus a guy in heel that they haven't seen. That's my guess.
The case. But for sure.
And because they're in the same spot that the Mets were, which is, hey, great, you could bring Manaea back, but like you still need to win all the rest of these games too. So like jeopardizing yourself to win Game 4 and 5 and then just, chopping off your arm for Game 6 and Game 7. You need to survive. But my guess is we're going to see righties the next 3 games.
Yeah.
The one option if they do go lefty, though, which I think is a real one, is you could put Pages in center field, Edman at shortstop, and Kike at second. My guess is if they face Rodon again, that they might do that.
It might be because, I didn't see anything out of Rojas that leads me to believe they should have. And if he is injured, I mean, I know you're not a big fan, but I'd rather have Kiermaier on this for that center field defense and for late inning pinch running and for possibly a bunt. That's more than what Rojas can do.
Yeah, it's interesting because we kind of have to trust. I mean, maybe you shouldn't trust. We don't know what his actual defensive mobility, like to your point, we didn't see the ball get hit to him. So we have no idea if his range is actually limited or if he's actually 95% healthy defensively and just his bat's a little bit rusty, in which case, as a defensive replacement, he's basically Kiermaier and you just move Edman to center field and Rojas is the defensive replacement at shortstop kind of a thing.
Right.
But who knows? I don't want Kiermaier. I'm not interested in the Kiermaier thing. Edman's fine in center field.
Think about it a little bit. Look who was in the outfield today. It was Chris Taylor at the end of the game. You had Chris Taylor, Tommy Edman, and Mookie Betts. Betts has a pretty good arm, but none of the rest of them have arms that scare you. Kiermaier has a really, really good arm, and he's perfect for the most part out there in center field.
Yeah,
it's not because you want to see him hit
ever.
No, but you want to. It's very much you're trying to win the World Series. You need a late inning defensive replacement, somebody that you trust that's out there. Or if Rojas plays and you need it, he's batting ninth, you bring up Kiermaier, he bunts down the line, whatever it happens to be. For the most part, I want him for his arm, I want him for his speed, and I want him for his defense. Those are all three things that Rojas currently does not have.
Yeah, it's fair. It's fair. One last super chat here. Stockton says, does the 2020 team get invited to the parade if they win?
I mean, why not? Sure. If
Justin Turner, come on down.
Yeah, absolutely. Is he a free agent or is he still?
It's a good question. I have no idea.
Is he in Seattle? I don't know. He bounced around.
He did end in Seattle. Yeah. So there you go. I'm trying to think of Bueller. Anyways, never mind. I was trying to read something on social media about that says the Dodgers are flying to New York tonight. We're flying out as a team. We've made the decision to be together these last 3 or 4 weeks of the year, regardless of what happens. So anyway, some people are arguing about whether they're flying out tonight or tomorrow. The team says they're flying out tonight. Some people are saying, well, the flight tracker says they're flying out tomorrow. Who knows?
And we're going to the flight tracker. Look at what that did to us last time you went.
No, somebody said, do we get to track Ohtani's flight now again? Does that get to happen? So there you go. All right, we're going to land the plane here, Greg. Give me just a final thought. Obviously, a roller coaster of a game. Ohtani's health up in the air. Treinen not as effective not nearly as confident in the best reliever as we were 2 days ago. And yet, on the flip side, the Dodgers are up 2-0 in the World Series. So give me your final thought.
Yeah, just I feel really good about where the Dodgers are right now. Obviously, they're up 2-0. You have to feel good, but I feel great with having Walker Buehler pitching in Game 3. I really think he's going to do well because, like he says, he likes to pitch in the cold. It's going to be very, very cold in New York, and that should work into his favor. I don't really believe in the idea of Clark Schmidt. He'll probably prove me wrong because I said that. But either way, I really like where the Dodgers are. It sounds like Shohei is going to be okay. He has a full range of motion, or at least a range of motion. It sounds like he'll be in the lineup. And what you're talking about, I love the fact that they're all going there together and they've decided that these 3 weeks is just about them. Forget the family, forget your drama, forget everything else. It's just about winning the World Series. That to me is huge. And I feel really, really good about this team. Let's go. Let's get 2 out of 3 there in New York.
Anthony, by the way, clarifying that teams typically at this point in the season have multiple flights. Sometimes they don't use one of them, or the way the Dodgers have handled things, it's possible that all of the players are going to be on one plane and families, staff, etc., support staff would be on the second plane. So the players could be leaving tonight and everybody else could be leaving tomorrow. There's lots of options there. But look, all I'm saying is the bottom line for me, the Dodgers are up 2-0 in the World Series against the Yankees. And yes, they're headed to New York. And yes, there's questions everywhere. The Dodgers need to win twice out of the next 5 games, Greg, and they'll be the 2024 World Series champions. I'm not letting myself get there. I'm not letting my head get there. But I feel good. I feel better today than I did yesterday. And I felt better yesterday than I did the day before. So we're trending in the right direction.
Absolutely. Let's go, Blue. Let's get 2 more.
That's Greg Bergman. I'm Jeff Spiegel. Greg, let folks know Blue Review every weekday.
So Blue Review is a little bit weird right now. I was going to talk about it afterwards. We're doing a lot of different things right now. Blue Review is special now, is on from 7 to 9 a.m. all next week, Monday through Friday, throughout the World Series. So it is a special Dodger show. Different people on the show each day.
And this is on this is on YouTube or on the radio?
It's on both. It's on 7:10 a.m. here in Los Angeles, and it's on the ESPN LA YouTube page. But you can find, I'm going to be on most of the days. Some days I will not be, but from Monday through Friday, 7 to 9 a.m. And that will change you on Thursday, by the way, Jeff. We'll talk about it later. But either way, we'll find a way. I might just bring you on instead. But either way, you can find us there every single night, 7 to 9 in the morning, 7:10 a.m. and the ESPN LA YouTube channel.
Love it. Love it. Well, thank you, everybody, for joining us. As always, stay right here on the Dodger Blue YouTube page. After this, all the post-game press conferences and media coverage we will have right here. Tomorrow is an off day, but we will be back. We will be back tomorrow. So, Dodger Blue wants to know, did we ask Greg a food question? I'll ask you this one.
Sure.
They posted the new food that they're serving for this. Oh, did you try any of the new food? Let me ask you this. Dodger Stadium has some new food items for the World Series. What did we eat last night? Give us the Bergman menu at game one.
I had a beer and I had a
$24. What do we got?
Yeah, I had the big one. I had a Modelo and I had popcorn. And
Good
that
choice.
was the extent of what I ate and drank yesterday. I did not move. I did not want to go walk up to a concession stand in the middle of that game. Doesn't happen. I went up there to get a beer and that was it. And then the guy came back down with popcorn. I'm like, hey, popcorn, let's get that. That was it.
Yeah. How do you feel about this? This is what Blake tried tonight because it was suggested, but we had talked about it. A deep fried peanut butter and Nutella sandwich, Texas toast, peanut butter, hazelnut spread, bananas and strawberries dipped in funnel cake.
Yeah. I mean, dipped in funnel cake. Yeah. No,
like I just like fried maybe.
Yeah. Like first of all, I don't like fried food. So if you wanted my weird take on food, I don't eat fried food. So that's just
So are you out on this? The deep fried peanut
100%.
Butter and Nutella, you're out?
Yeah. I'm out. I mean, I like the idea of it not deep fried.
Okay. Just a peanut butter and Nutella sandwich. You're in on that.
Yeah. Yeah. Fine. That sounds great. That sounds delicious.
All right. Well, there you go. There's a food question for Greg. Okay. 7 to 9 a.m. ESPN LA on the radio and on the YouTube page. You can find the Blue Review. Greg will be there. We're gonna so many questions in the chat. We're gonna leave these alone. My name is Jeff Spiegel. We appreciate you all for joining us. Dodgers up 2-0 in the World Series, folks. Enjoy the rest of your day. As always, go Dodgers.
Go Blue.